Finally,
Yeah.
maraming
Yes.
salamat po
Thank
for the
you for
opportunity
the
and the time.
invitation. I think this is my second time on point. Or
Is it
the
your
first
second time?
I
Bakit? Ayaw mo bang magpaimbita dito? Para marinig namin yung mga katotohanan dito sa mga kasong mga nangyayaring pagtatakip mo dito kay Romualdez. Ito mga kababayan, News That Matters, atin pong papakinggan itong si Tito Sotto dito sa kanyang interview dito sa On Point dito sa kay Pinky Web mga kababayan. Pero isang share, like, subscribe lang po, masaya na po tayo dyan. Mga kababayan, tumulak na po dito at pakinggan natin itong si Tuta Sotto.
I think so.
I think,
or
yeah.
my second time in Billionario.
I think so. Thank
Okay,
you,
thank you.
SB.
My pleasure to be here.
Because you go back to work after a month-long break. This
Next week.
coming Monday, both
Monday,
houses are
yes.
back after a month-long break. Certainly people will be anticipating, SP, the resumption of the flood control hearings, which is set to happen on November 14, if I'm not mistaken.
The projected schedule is supposed to be on November 14 as far as Senator Ping Lacson is concerned and most of the members of the Blue Ribbon
November
Committee.
14.
And of course, by Monday, Senator Lacson is set to either retake or we will re-elect him as chairman of the Blue Ribbon.
And nothing can stop that. You are already sure that he will be the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee chairman again.
I think so. Yes, I believe so. I don't see or hear any objection from our members.
What is so different now from the time, sir, that Senator Ping Lacson left? Sabi nga niya dati, pag ayoko na. If it's a no, it's a no. Sabi niya, hindi ho ba? To the time that he is going to come back as Senate Blue Ribbon Committee chairman.
I'd like to think that public clamor has to do a lot with plenty of the matters arose after he said that he would like to resign from the committee. So I would say public clamor is one, and also from our members. There were 4 or 5 names being thought of or mentioned. There was only one who was quite interested, that we never got to discussing it. Perhaps it was it's a good thing that Senator Lacson agreed to retake it.
All right. There was already this news, Senate President, that you had mentioned that you plan to meet with Congressman Martin Romualdez. I think that was yesterday, if not the other day, and you said that could happen tomorrow or the day after. Has this happened? Has there been any communication?
We communicated, no, but more or less, it was just parang filling out. The interparliamentary courtesy would be would be proper, or if we should invite Congressman Martin through the speaker, or to directly send an invitation to him, or if it is necessary, even at this point. So perhaps the meeting of the Blue Ribbon before the Blue Ribbon hearing itself, we can discuss it. Of course, the final say would be with the chairman, Senator Lacson. That's his final say, who he would want to invite. I understand that he's still still inviting the Discayas and a number of names that have been mentioned lately.
Ayan, wag ko kayong maniniwala dyan mga kababayan. Itong si Tuta Sotto, sinabi niya na nag-usap na silang tatlo, itong si Ping Lacson, chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee, na itong si Congressman Romualdez, tinawagan nila at nag-uusap-usap na silang tatlo regarding about dito. Advance na sila mga kababayan dito sa November 14. Pinaghahandaan na nila yan, yung game plan nila na kung saan, kung paano nila itong poprotektahan itong si Congressman Romualdez mga kababayan. Yan ang katotohanan dyan. Na kung saan, dahil kung itong si Congressman Romualdez ay matitimbog mga kababayan, nako, may paglalagyan itong si BBM mga kababayan. Magbahalo ang balat sa tinulupan. Kaya ito na lang si Tuta Sotto, ganito yung mga pagpoprotekta nila ni Lacson dito kay Congressman Romualdez mga kababayan. Sinungaling to. Ba't kasi ayaw mo pang sabihin na may kabit ka? Pwede mo naman sabihin meron o wala lang eh. Talaga si School Bukol.
So what was it a text message? Was it a call that you had with Congressman Martin?
We had a call. We had a
Okay.
call.
Oh,
And
yan.
then, so
Ba-
ano po, what can you share us about the conversation? Did you tell him that we want to invite you? Will you be able to come? Are you open to
I
coming?
mentioned something to that effect, that there is a possibility that we can send an invitation or send an invitation through, and it's possible also that he can send a manifestation or he could attend. You know, just in between chit-chats.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
just
what was his
chit-chat sa
reaction?
pagsisinungaling. Knock
He
ng
was quite
tokwa.
positive about it. I did not notice any pessimism.
Would you say that he was?
He's probably studying it.
Would you
know,
say he was open?
We ended into that possibility that sige, pag-aralan natin. Pag-aralan niya.
How
And
important?
he's also perhaps would consult with his lawyers.
Ayan, mga kababayan, pag-aaralan daw ni kay Tambaloslos yung sasabihin niya, pag-aaralan kung paano magsinungaling. Anak ng tokwa. Mga sinungaling kung
How
nasa
important
gobyerno
do you think
natin,
is
mga
it
kababayan.
for former Speaker Martin Romualdez to actually show up at the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings?
He's only been mentioned once. You know, and so I don't know. I will not have a fairly good judgment of how important that would be.
And
There
when
are
you say he was
huh?
mentioned once, nung sinabi niyo pong he was only mentioned once, and this
In
is
the
through
Blue Ribbon.
yes, and this is through Sergeant Orly Gutesa.
Yeah,
Would that be correct,
the
sir?
Gutesa affidavit that is being questioned. So there are other issues that we can tackle. But of course, that's part of what some quarters are saying or asking. We leave it to the chairman and members of the committee.
But you have a very good relationship with Senator Ping Lacson, of course.
Of course,
Matagal po kayo
mga
nag-uusap.
tuta yan, mga kababayan.
With regards to the former speaker, he basically said, am I correct, that he would discuss this with his lawyers, the possibility of...
As I said, in between chit-chats, at marami rin kaming napapagkwentuhan, ano, siyempre. And then, something like, sige,
Mga
pag-aralan natin.
pagsisinungaling nila, mga kababayan. Yan ang pinag-uusapan
Are you
nila.
concerned, Senate President, that with you calling Congressman Martin Romualdez, that again, this issue on in the past, yung sinasabing interparliamentary courtesy, etc., that you can only go so far, that lumabas yung you are protecting Congressman Martin Romualdez. With this kind of talk, that possibility of inviting him, etc., would this idea of you possibly protecting him again come up, and what do you say to that?
No, I have never protected anyone. It is not in my in my nature to do so. You know? Perhaps what we could say is that interparliamentary courtesy has to be mentioned, no matter what, because he's a sitting congressman. Whether he is Martin Romualdez or he is Mark Enverga, we have never, and I do not recall the Senate inviting or issuing a subpoena to any member of Congress from the time that I was senator in 1992 up to the present.
Inviting, yes. You invited Congressman Toby Tiangco.
No, he presented himself. Even Ching Veloso, Congressman Ching Veloso, during the time that we were investigating the illegal drugs issue in the Visayas, he came on his own. He was not invited.
So you don't recall
We
anyone?
invite members of House if they are the sponsors of any particular bill. Like, for example, if we are taking up the, let's say, the cityhood of Makati, which I sponsored before, we invited Congressman Joker Arroyo. He was a sponsor in the House to give us a better perspective of why we should make Makati a city.
Is that
Something
so?
like that. So it's not in a controversy.
Yeah, not in
an
any
investigation.
controversial issue.
Not in a blue ribbon investigation. So, as I said, I leave it up to my chairman.
But there's always a first, no?
Oh, yes.
Confident
Yes,
na
of course.
confident, mga kababayan,
Zaldico,
no?
let's talk about him. I'm sure you've seen and you've heard his lawyer, I'm assuming, sir, Attorney Roy Rundain, speaking on behalf
I've heard a couple of minutes, perhaps. Maiksi lang. I'm not private to what he actually said.
Okay, just to basically give the audience, those watching us today, what he said. He basically said, it doesn't seem that Zaldico will be returning to the country because, and I quote, he is deathly afraid of coming home because there are real, serious threats to his life. One half of the country wants to throw him in jail and throw away the key, and the other half wants to string him up by the nearest tree. Ibig sabihin po nun, Senate President, hindi ho uuwi. It's, at least not now, hindi po uuwi si Zaldico. How does this affect the whole investigation, or at least the quest to finding out more about this flood control scandal?
That's his opinion. That is the opinion of the lawyer. Now, as far as I'm concerned, we follow the law. We will invite, if our committee invites him, we will invite him. If he does not appear, we will issue a subpoena. Appear and accepts the subpoena, we will issue a warrant of arrest. That's as far as we can go.
Ako, ang dami niyong dahilan. Pero kung gusto niyo manghuli ng tao na katulad ng ginawa niyo kay Tatay Digong, napakabilis ninyo. Pero kung dito na nasasangkot kayong mga buhaya kayo, ang dami niyong dahilan. Kung gusto niyo talaga, may paraan yan. Anak kayo ng tokwa talaga, o mga sinungaling kayo.
He even came home to say, he rather said, would you come home under those circumstances? I wouldn't recommend that he come home. That's the lawyer basically telling the media that he didn't even recommend that Zaldico come home under these certain circumstances.
Iyan mga kababayan, sinungaling yung abogago na yan.
Congressman is facing.
As I said, that's his opinion. I would have a different opinion.
Malaki ang
if,
binayad
I
ni
didn't
Zaldico
need my
dyan,
client.
mga kababayan.
I would tell my client to face
Mga to
the
talagang mga
allegations and prove
walang
the law.
kaluluwa.
What effect do you think it will have if he doesn't return?
He will become a fugitive. And he might be tried in
Absuelto,
absentia.
syempre.
And he might be found guilty in absentia.
Absuelto yung mga buhaya.
That's,
Hindi
That's as
pinapauwi.
far as it goes.
I think so.
But what about...
But then, if that happens, then, as I said, being a fugitive, nowadays, Interpol and all that, it will be very difficult to hide.
You will be
Alam nyo mga kababayan, marami kasing madadamay. Kaya ayaw pa uwiin to si Zaldicong Mandarambong mga kababayan. Na kung saan maraming madadawit dyan. Baka pati itong si Tuta Sotto, pati yung mga kwartang binibigay niya dyan sa kabit niya na ayaw niya pang aminin na kung meron o wala, damay siya dito. Kasi yung mga kabit niya, kung minumudmudan niya ng pera, sinusuportahan niya. Naku, mamaya sasabihin ko yan kung anong pangalan yung kabit mo. Na kung saan minumudmudan mo ng pera. Kawawa naman yung asawa mo, Tuta Sotto, pinagloloko mo.
found one way or another.
For sure.
But
Might take some time, but he will be found. So it is best that he face the allegations, he face the music.
I remember speaking to Congressman Toby Tiangco maybe a week ago, sir, and he was saying that there's the possibility that, number one, he can go to a country that has no extradition treaty. That's number one. Number two, he can actually apply for a passport in another country. I don't know, maybe through whether it be a golden visa or some other method, sir. And even if government, cancels his passport, meron pa rin siyang ibang passport na pwedeng applyan niya sa ibang bansa. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, he can do all that, but there are ways of skinning the cat. There are ways of going about it also that government may be able to do. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy to what?
To stay a
evade.
fugitive and live a different life in a different country. It's not that easy.
Let's talk about
Alam nyo mga kababayan, pwede namang pauwi niyan si Zaldico. Kung pwede namang ipakancel ng gobyerno yung kanyang passport para pauwi na yan si Zaldico. Kaya lang ang problema ito, syempre itong ombudsman, hawak din nila. Kaya binabagalan nila yung pagkaso dito kay Saldico. Pero kung tutusin, kung neutral lang itong yung ombudsman natin, kaya nga prosecutor, ang trabaho ng ombudsman, mga kababayan, is prosecutor. Kailangan maging neutral ka, walang bias-bias. O sino ba nag-appoint sa kanya? O itong si BBM, kaya ganyan ang nangyayari. Kaya ang bagal na parang pagong itong pagpapauwi dito kay Saldico. Pero kung hindi nila kaalyado yan, nasasangkot yan, mga kababayan, gagawin nila lahat yan na kung saan, kung gaano ang ginawa nila na pagpapakulong sa ating dating presidente. Ganyan ang kabalbalan ng mga administrasyon. Binabagalan nila.
The Senate,
Although she might have a lot of money to do that, no? But then again,
hindi kaya mauubos yung pera?
government
maubos yun,
can
madam?
find ways to
Bilyon
go
yun
around
eh.
the extradition laws.
How important is it? Ganito na lang po, Senate President, na mabalik siya dito sa bansa and to answer the allegations against him.
Well, it is very important because he was the chairman of the appropriations of the House of Representatives from 2023, I think, 22, 23, up to the 2025. You know, the 22, 23, 24 budgets were perhaps riddled with issues, with questions, yes. But the 2025 budget was the worst. You see, that is the reason na
Worst
ganyan
talaga.
kalaki pumutok ito.
Biruin
And that
mo,
is
yung
the
classroom
reason
nga
that,
lang, 22 lang yung
it
napagawa
angered
nyo.
the president. Because sumobra. Although
Kayong
he
mga
already
awa.
vetoed about 162 billion. The president vetoed that, but still, marami talagang, you know, when you're looking at volumes of papers in about, I think, 6 to 8 packages, it is not easy to look for for the pork, so to speak. So, talagang importante because he would be able to shed light also on how it came about and what happened.
Can't Congressman Martin Romualdez do that on behalf of Congressman Zaldico?
If he attended the BICAM, if he attended the BICAM himself instead of just signing it, then he would be privy to all that. No?
Can't
Like in my case, if you will recall, in 2018, I refused to sign the budget, which came from the House of Representatives, because I was told by Senator Lacson that there was a 75 billion insertion. So I refused to sign it. No? Until now, it is the only budget in the history
Maniwala,
of the Philippines from the time of Quezon to now that there is an annotation by the Senate President in the budget. All because ganun eh. So once you find out, you must do something about it. So your question, I don't know. Was he there at the BICAM? Did he know?
do you have to be in the BICAM to know?
If there are insertions, of course. If it is done in the BICAM, of course, definitely.
Would
And
your
then members,
sorry, sir. Would your Appropriations Committee chairman, handpicked by yourself, do this without your knowledge?
It will be found. It will be found. He can do that, of course, but if you're scrutinizing it, it will be found.
But there are other people.
If you turn a blind eye,
Well, that's a different story.
oh, that's a different story. Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to find out here is who is really complicit. Because if we're talking about the 2025 budget that they called a mangled budget, the budget that was the president
Pinulimbat.
couldn't even ano ba sinabi niya? Hindi na niya parang namukaan itong budget na to. Hindi na klaro sa
Correct.
kanya.
It was a far cry from the NEP.
Anong di
from the NEP,
mamumukha
right.
wala namang ginagawa yan.
If we're just talking about a Zaldico who
Nang
can
tinapa.
explain this, I mean, there are other people who can explain this as well. The Speaker, then, Martin Romualdez, the Senate President, then, Chis Escudero, the House Appropriations Committee Chair, then, Zaldico, the Senate counterpart, Senator
Grace Poe.
Grace Poe, and, sir, nandun pa po yung opposition congressman and senator, hindi ko ba? Part of the BICAM.
If ever they were in the big BICAM or the actual BICAM. But in the small bicam, and Congressman Saldico, who attended the small bicam. That's as far as the information given to me. I was not there.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, after everything, sir, after lahat po ng inyong hearings sa House, sa Senado, sa iba't ibang departamento, I mean, nandun po yun, sponsoring the budget, hindi ho ba? Pagkatapos nun, magkakaroon ng small committee na tinanggal na po ngayon. Tapos nagkaroon ng BICAM. And then pagkatapos nun, you're saying that after that BICAM, nagkaroon pa po ng mini BICAM na silang dalawa lang.
Yeah, that's what happened. They admit to that anyway.
All right. We're going to take a very short break. We'll continue our discussion with the Senate President. Tito Sotto, just as the Senate Blue Ribbon hearing again, just two things, sir. One is, who are the important witnesses, or resource persons rather, you think should appear in the next hearings? Because I cannot imagine this to be any more prolonged, ano po, especially with Senator Ping Lacson and the budget. So, sino yung mga napaka-importanting witness na kailangan magpakita?
That will be a very difficult question for me to answer because as I said, I leave it to the chairman of the Blue Ribbon, and he has started looking into the past hearings. I have not, but I think he's going to present 2 or 3 other personalities that will give or shed light to. Anyway, baga sa umbrella lang yung alam ko. So, I'm not private to the salaman.
Meron daw siya.
Sinungaling ka? Ibig mo sabihin itong si Orly Gutesa, sinungaling, at saka itong si Senator Marcoleta, na kung saan yung tiwala niya, pinapunta niya itong si Orly Gutesa, na kung saan sinugal niya yung kanyang buhay, pati yung pamilya, yung seguridad niya, kaya nagtatago ngayon mga kababayan. Kasi nga itong si Orly Gutesa at saka yung dalawa na nawawala, na sinasabing yung isa ay nasa Chile na pinaalis ng gobyerno para hindi sila magkandaloko-loko dito, para hindi sila mabisto dito. Pinaalis nila yung dalawang bagman na tagabilang ng pera na tagahatid dito kaya sa bahay ni Congressman Romualdez, mga kababayan, na kung saan dun yung salaysay ni Orly Gutesa. Sinungaling ka talaga, pinamumukha mo pang sinungaling itong Senator Marcoleta. Talagang kayo, may pinagtatakpan talaga kayo dito.
Isang very important witness. Sabi ni Senator Ping
Yes, yeah, he said so. And I don't know, but I never got to asking him. I don't know. I didn't want to ask him. Unless he told me personally, I will not.
Walang kwentang mga sagot, mga babayan.
Matters of
Parang
other
nakakatawa yung mga ginawa nilang kabalbalan dito sa bansa natin.
You don't know much about it so that when you're being asked, you don't have to lie.
Of course.
Okay.
That will be the last thing that I will do.
All right, but I'm sure you've heard about this supposed to be very important witness.
Somehow, yeah. More or less.
Do you agree
I'm
that
not sure
it's a
about it.
very important witness? Marami ho ba itong may babahagi?
Nagiging very important witness ang isang witness kung maraming i-reveal na dokumentado. Na may value at may resibo or may ebidensya.
Tignan mo to yung banat na ito, mga kababayan, na tignan mo yung sinabi niya at mga dokumento daw na valid. Ibig mo sabihin, sinungaling yung itong si Senator Marcoleta, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, na notaryado na. Alam nyo naman yung mga notary dito, wala naman yun, wala doon yung mga abogado, andun lang yung secretary nila. Tsaka ang importante dito, mga kababayan, yung issue, hindi yung notaryo, yung dokumento. Ang importante dito, yung nag-oath ka doon sa Senado, sa harap nila chairman tong si Pampi Lacson, tsaka ikaw, Tuta Sotto, na kung nandun kami, kunwari ako, mag-itataas ko yung kamay ko, mangangako ako, in the name of in the country for Philippines, I will say all the truth. Pati yung pamilya ko is nakataya dito, nakapusta na dito yung buong pamilya ko, na kung may mangyayari sa akin, basta sabihin ko yung totoo, nakahanda na akong magpakulong. Yun ang importante. Huwag nyo hanapin yung mga dokumento na yan. Pero kung gusto nyo talagang may makulong, gugustuhin nyo yan. Pero kung ayaw nyo, ayaw nyo. Dami nyo pang patsutsada eh.
Diba? Then he or she becomes a very important witness. Kasi madaling gumawa ng kwento. Madaling magsalita ng kwento. Anong prueba mo? Ganun eh. I think that's very important. And Of course, the Blue Ribbon Committee, as as a reminder to everyone, is not a prosecutorial body.
Of course.
We are there in aid of legislation. So what we want to find out is how this will never happen again. Right now, there are measures that we are undertaking so that the 2026 budget will be as clean as possible and as ideal as possible. And that was a commitment that I gave not only to the public but also to the president.
Yeah. And, well, that's something I really want to talk about just in a bit, just very quickly, sir. What about Sergeant Orly Gutesa? Is it important that he actually shows up? There was an interview with Senator Ping Lacson. Sabi po, tinanong siya kung papaano hindi daw mahanap kasi si Sergeant Orly Gutesa. Tinanong kung tatawagin si Congressman Mike Defensor dahil siya nagpakilala kay Senator Marcoleta. Sabi ni Senator Ping, it's not really important to even invite former Congressman Mike Defensor. And bakit daw padala na lang through Senator Marcoleta yung subpoena?
The subpoena, yeah. Siyempre, sila naman ang kausap eh. So, the subpoena, I think, was sent through them. I'm not too sure about that. But it is best that he attend so that he can enlighten the committee
Para matimbog
on
na
how
kayo.
an affidavit is sworn with the a lawyer na wala doon.
Attorney Espejo.
Ganun. So, hindi natin masabi. It's better that he attends.
You know, I wanted to also find out from you, what kind of anticipation or how are you actually possibly preparing for the continuation of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearings? Because Senator Ping Lacson already said during an interview na hindi naman daw sila nag-uusap ni Senator Marcoleta. He mentioned something like that during, I don't know if it was kapihan, sir, or something, na kayo po ay paminsan nandun po sa gitna ng chairman. Kasi yung ano po ninyo, nandito si chairman, nandito po kayo, tas nandito si Senator Marcoleta. At least yun po yung seating arrangement nyo noon. When you have a chairman and a former chairman who are not really talking, at least according to Senator Ping Lacson, is that hard to maneuver? Would it be hard to maneuver something like that?
Well, not really. I talked to both of them. I talked to both of them.
Sinungaling.
And it's you have to master the art of compromise.
Sabihin mo muna yung kabit mo.
That's one
And
thing.
you master
That's one
maniwala
thing,
kami.
when
Hindi
you
ka
become a
nagsisinungaling.
leader, the majority leader or minority leader that
Pero
I've been
mamaya,
before,
mga
or
kababayan,
Senate President that I've been
papakita
before,
ko.
you have to master the art of compromise.
Sabihin
You
kung ano
have
yung
to talk to
pangalan
all
ng
of them.
kabit niya.
Oh, yeah, and you have to be open to all of them. You know, we look forward to looking at the Blue Ribbon hearing. We're looking forward to other measures that will be taken up. It should not be limited to this flood control issue alone. I'm sure after the hearing on Friday, well, hopefully, there will be enough pieces of legislation that we can come up with. And then perhaps the Blue Ribbon can go into, of course, we'll leave it to the chairman, but he could go to the other issues that should be
Taken up
discussed.
as well.
No? The public accountability, other officers, not just the DPWH. We can talk about the DA, the DPW, the DOH, all the even the DSWD or TNR. Maraming dapat tignan tayo na baka the accountability of public officers that the Blue Ribbon can look into would give us more insight on how to prevent such happenings in the budget of government in the future, and how the money of the people is spent, and it should be spent well for them, to them.
In aid of legislation, kaya po ito nangyayari, hindi to prosecutorial. Ito po ay para bumalangkas na naman ng mga batas para maiwasan ng pangungulimbat. Hindi ho ba?
Correct.
Tito Sen, sa tagal niyo ho sa politika, meron pa ho bang kailangan batas na kailangan gawin para po to safeguard the people's money? I mean, what have you not done right? And why did this have to happen again?
If Congress has to be dynamic, because society is dynamic. And the corruption is dynamic too. Eh, nung araw, wala namang CDF lang nung araw eh. At saka
Countrywide
yung
Development Fund.
PDAF. Ganun lang nung araw eh. O, hindi ba inalis niyo yung PDAF? CDF inalis. Pinalitan PDAF.
Right.
Sabi ng Supreme Court, yung PDAF illegal. Eh, nakahanap ng iba eh. So we have to find another, you have to find it and stop it. You know, the corruption is dynamic too. You know, that's a problem. So,
But you have to be two, three steps ahead.
the laws that, like for example, outright, ano mga pwede dito sa nakikita ko ngayon? Dapat bawal ang small bycam. Put it in the rules.
Yeah.
Wala tayong ganun eh. Walang rule na ganun. Gagawin lang
Ilagay
namin
nyo.
ngayon yun because
Anong
napag-usapan.
tokwa, oh.
Paano pag hindi na ako Senate President? Di ba?
And they can always change that pag hindi ka na Senate President
Pag hindi
also,
na ako
hindi
Senate
mo ba?
President. Oh. Sasabihin nyo, hindi, pwede na uli. Wala na yung magugulo.
Okay, what else?
Sabihin. Hindi ba? So, yun, isa yun. Di ba? The rules of the budget, pwede pag-usapan, pwede rin may mga makikita kami doon na kung paano i-handle. Like for example, the programming of the unprogrammed.
Yeah. Can we talk about
No?
that?
We
have 2
can
minutes left.
perhaps, we can perhaps, remember, the budget is the single most important piece of legislation that we should pass every year. It's a law.
Right.
And part of the findings of the Blue Ribbon Committee can be incorporated in the budget on how provisions can be placed so that, let's say, the budget of the DNR is not used for this, the SWD is not used for that, or the DOH. Ganon.
And apart from that, quickly, can we just quickly talk about ito pong mga ayuda that are they still present in the 2026 budget, Tito Sen? Itong mga MAIP, AIS, etc.
As far as I know, and I was discussing this with Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, our chairman of the Committee on Finance, who was very, very hands-on on everything. Even the vice chairman, his vice chairman, were discussing and hearing some of the different departments. He was always present. He made sure that he was there. So he was giving me a briefing yesterday. In the NEP, in the National Expenditure Program already, it's already present. But it is well placed. Like for example, MAIP, or Medical Assistance for Indigenous so-and-so, is in the DOH. You know? And then the assistance for crisis, assistance in crisis.
Individuals in crisis.
Individuals in
AIPs.
crisis, yes. At saka yung tupad, di ba? And then the tunong-dunong for schools. That is in the NEP already. It's already present in the NEP.
Okay.
And we think that it's, Senator Gatchalian was briefing me about it. In the House version, there would be some additional to this that most probably is placed in the program. And that is one thing that we do not want. So we will be discussing it with the leaders of the House at the proper time during the BICAM. If ever there's going to be a beachhead in the BICAM Conference Committee, it will be that. It will be the program because we would like to retain only foreign-assisted projects in the program.
Right, right.
And the rest should be not just modified, but explicit. For example, the medical assistance, let's put it in the DOH. The assistance to
Individuals in
individuals
crisis.
and in crisis, DSWD.
DSWD, yeah. And then tupad,
Ganon,
dole.
tupad. The tupad, yes, dole.
Yes, dole.
And then tunong-dunong, DepEd
Yeah.
or CHED, di ba? Ganon yung sa amin. And hopefully by November 13, the sponsorship of the budget will be, as far as the Senate GOB is concerned, General Appropriations Bill of the
yeah.
Senate
Yeah.
is concerned. It'll be on Thursday.
Senate President Tito Sotto, I wish I had another
Ayan po mga kababayan, narinig nyo, ito si Tuta Sotto. Tuta Sotto, magtrabaho ka naman, hindi yung puro sat-sat lang. Hindi yung puro ginagawa mo, puro pambababae. Itong, ba't di mo sinabi yung kabit mo? Ito mga kababayan, sasabihin ko na, ipapakita ko na, may ipapakita na ako na itong si Tuta Sotto, may kabit siya na kung saan nandun sa Las Vegas mga kababayan, yung kabit na ito. Totoo po yan. At ang pangalan, sasabihin din yung pangalan ng kabit ni Tuta Sotto. Ipapakita ko po sa video na to mga kababayan. Ito na po.
Okay ba sa iyo, Tito Sen? Gusto mo sabihin ko na kung sino yung kabit mo?
Bakit ikaw, Tito Sotto, ano bang galing mo? Di ba may tinutorjak ka sa Las Vegas, Nevada?
Ayan.
Si Ilona? Di ba pinupuntahan mo siya sa Vegas? Tuwing pumupunta ka ng Amerika, Tito Sotto? Bakit mo siya binibisita? Inaalayan mo ba siya ng bundle-bundle na pera? O alam ba ni Helen Gamboa yan?
Yari ka, Tuta Sotto.
Maliban kay Pepsi, meron pa yan, sa Vegas.
Ayan, mga kababayan, confirm yung kabit ni Tuta Sotto in courtesy of Maharlika and Anjo Iliana na yung kabit niya ay nasa Las Vegas, mga kababayan, na kung saan dinadalaw niya doon at syempre pinamumudbudan ng pera na para may pan-shopping, para may pangyamerda silang dalawa ni Tuta Sotto, mga kababayan. Ayan po yung panloloko niya dito sa asawa niya, mga kababayan. Yung kabit niya, Ilyona ang pangalan, yung sinabi dito ni Madam Maharlika Anjo Iliana, mga kababayan. Tuta Sotto, kaya tigil-tigilan mo na yung pagsisinungaling mo, ayaw mo pa kasing aminin na may kabit ka Eto, binuking ka na. Eto na mga kababayan, bulljack na siya dito. Bullseye, bingo. Eto mga kababayan, maraming salamat po mga kababayan. News That Matters, huwag niyong kalimutan, i-share, like, subscribe. Nang sa ganun, napapanood dito ng ating mga kababayan dito at sa iba't ibang bansa. Maraming salamat po. News That Matters. God bless.